Welcome back to another episode of the Four Insight Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Obi. Have a heck of a show in store for y'all today. With me today is my friend Treyvon Matthews. Treyvon, thank you for spending some time with us today, bro.
Thank you so much for having me, Obi, man. It's so nice to see you again, man. It's been a quite a while, you know.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna jump right into it, man. So I met you here in Houston. One thing when I met you in high school was that kind of led to us being friends. We were both new to the area. I moved from a different part of Houston. You moved from the north side down here. For people who don't know what it's like to have to change locations, what was it like for you moving to Ridgepoint from where you were?
Yeah, man. It was a little difficult at first, no. I had to uproot and just leave all of my childhood friends, you know. And I got into a little bit of trouble, you know. I got kicked out in the middle of the school night on a Wednesday night, I believe. I had to move into my grandma's house over in Mo City, and we were struggling trying to figure out a school to go to. I was originally zoned to Willow Ridge, but Willow Ridge, as most people know, is not the best school, you know. So we stumbled across Ridge Point. We checked out the sports, you know, the academics, and that was, you know, the spot to be. So I ended up moving over, or packed up all my stuff, you know. Started going to Ridge Point my sophomore year, and you know, it was decent. I liked Ridge Point. You know, I met people like you, Obi. You know what I mean? That if y'all don't know, man, that was my number one, man. He was my best friend, man. I didn't really talk to many other people, you know. Obi kept, you know, held it down. You know, I could read people. I'm really good at reading people. I'm really good at, you know, noticing loyalty, you know, and good characteristics within certain people. And Obi was one of those people for me. So, you know, kept me out of trouble. You know, did our sports thing. You know, we talked about little girls here and there. You know, and kept it pushing. You know, so
had him, man. I know you had him. Wow.
Yeah, man.
No, I mean for you, I mean from my perspective, it was just like you were just a dude who was new, and you were on the football team. You joined us, and I just was. We were both in the same grade. I knew what it was like being a new person, and you know, experiencing new surroundings, and you know, not that you were lost, but you just were a person who was like, "Hey, how you doing? And can you show me this, show me that?" And so I was just like, "Sure, man." And next thing you know, it was almost inseparable. It was just kind of like, "Hey, cool." I messed with him. And it was always a person to talk to. And so naturally, I mean, our friendship just kind of grew from there. And it was just cool, you know, kind of learning from you, and, you know, you kind of.
Vice versa. Yeah, man. Yeah, vice versa. Yeah.
So now you spend 1 year at Ridgepoint, then you move back over to the north side. What was it like now moving back over and having to change scenery again?
So being uprooted the first time, and just having to reimagine myself, it put me in a different light. So I went to Ridge Point, seeing how people was over there on the south side, you know, and I was exposed to different things, you know. So coming back, I had a different view, you know. I had a different view of friends, and you know, and all that type stuff, you know, just moving around. And like, I think it was my junior year. So, you know, I'm growing, I'm getting older. So while that's happening at school, me going through these changes, I'm also going through changes at home. You know, I just recently got kicked out, you know, and so stuff is still, you know, stuff is still kind of rocky back home. And then next thing you know, not even the first week of my junior year, I got kicked out again. You know, stopped football, stopped everything. Yeah, so moving back to the house, it was a little bit more shaky. It was shaky, but you know, after the first week of my junior year, I got kicked out again, and I moved in to my real dad's house, which I haven't seen my real dad, biological father, since I was maybe like 5 years old, 6 years old. So that put me in another light. You know, it molded me to another light, being raised around him, you know, and him having the background that he has. It kind of just, you know, it made me grow up real fast. You know, I was exposed to a lot in a very short time frame. So, you know, staying in trouble, doing all that, and smoking weed and quitting football and seeing all my friends getting scholarships and, going to state, all this stuff. It kind of just, going from junior year going into my senior year, it kind of just put all this weight on my shoulders,
Yeah.
And so as far as that goes, it definitely made me into the person I am today, and it's taking all those losses I had and taking all those bumps and scrapes that I had against me, it made me stronger, mentally, physically, and whole 9 yards. So
yeah, I mean, it's all just a part of growth. Everybody likes to have this mentality like it has to be perfect and that everybody just has to have this smooth sail in life. It doesn't happen that all the time.
It don't happen.
It's good for me to bring people on here who've gone through some stuff. I mean, not that life is terrible, life sucks, but it's not always peaches and cream,
Peaches and cream, right.
People go through shit. People have to learn lessons the hard way, and all that is okay as long as you learn a lesson and you able to grow from it, But talk about what it was like. Just how did your experience living in a different location, like being able to go to Ridge Point, see different people, how was that able to help you when you moved back down to the north side and lived with your dad? What was it that you saw down here that changed your mentality?
Man, it's I guess, it kind of breaks you away from the people that can hold you down without you even realize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that little break is sometimes that you need to find yourself. Because, if you're around a certain people since elementary school or whatnot, and say they're not doing the best of things, once you leave them and you come back, you're like, yo, what am I doing this whole time? I realized, these guys aren't cut from the same cloth as I am. We're not really, on the same path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, seeing it in that light, that's kind of what I got out of moving a lot. But other than that, I saw the different schools. Like I believe Ridge Point was way better, athletics wise, academic wise, women wise. Ridge Point had all the girls, man. Ridge Point had all the girls. Ridge Point had all the girls, man. But that's really what I took from it. Other than that, it was just the people. People is everything to me. I'm a people's person, and I'm also a people's reader. It's all about the people that you surround yourself with. That's gonna determine what your outcome is in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know for me, it was just seeing a different environment and seeing people who thought and perceived life differently.
Process.
I mean, I didn't grow up far from here and from where I live now, but it was completely different as far as people's worldview, people's just beliefs and how to carry themselves, fashion, also where they foresaw themselves in life. I think was the biggest thing. Yeah. People wanted to go to college and then get master's degrees.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Wanted to own their own businesses, and I didn't really see that where I grew up. Where I grew up, it was about let me just have a family as young as I could, which that's perfectly fine and that's perfectly good. Maybe I'll go to college, maybe I'll go to community college and just kind of get an associate's.
Yeah. Dope. And sometimes even dope dealing and being dope boys and having all the fancy cars and especially like in Summer Creek at Ridge Point, I feel that was more people was on their grind. Yeah, we have a little sprinkle of guys like dope boys who want to be thugs and stuff, but for the main part, a lot of people at Ridge Point was on their grind.
Absolutely.
In the long run. So
and that holds you to a higher standard as well, because it's like you realize very quickly that if you don't pick your shit together, if you don't pick it up, you'll get left behind. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And so you really have to kind of say, hey, something's got to change. And, that's a good thing about moving. It's all a person's perception. You can decide to be negative about it and say, man, I moved and now I got to make friends again. Or you can say, okay, this is just a new challenge, this is a new chapter. And that was, something where I like to bring people on here who've experienced different settings and kind of see what they've learned from life, because everything is about experience, and being able to learn.
Amen to that, man.
Transition.
Can I ask you a quick question? What high school did you come from Ridge Point? I forget.
So we grew up in Pearland, Texas, right? Pearland, Texas was a smaller town at the time when I was growing up. So when I was about to get into high school, I was going to go to Dawson, which was the newer
Dawson. Yeah.
Newer school in Pearland at the time. Baby steps, a lot like what Ridge Point was. And so I just I spent the whole summer training with them and getting to know the coaching staff. I already kind of knew some of those coaches because a lot of them coached my older brother when he played football. So I was already established, and it was kind of honestly, it was comfortable, right? And literally the weekend before summer camp starts, my mom was like, "Yo, we're moving."
You're moving. Oh man, yeah.
You gotta start all over.
All over again, yeah.
New scenery. I got to go to school with all these different people, and it was weird. It was like, something about the people here, but then it was just something I had to get used to, and so then I get to Richmond, new school, and I'd already been used to going to a new program and going and being the people nobody knows, the new kid on the block, because elementary school I went to, it was brand spanking new, the one I graduated from. Then the middle school, I was around brand new middle school. So, I mean, being around new things wasn't really too foreign to me. It was just, okay, hey, you've done this before, just do it again.
Yeah, do it again, I feel you.
The main thing I think really was with just going and moving at, right before high school is like, you kind of are battling, do I invest myself fully in this only to have to graduate in 4 years, or do you just kind of treat this as like college, basically pre-college? Like, okay, I'm going to do this for 4 years and then I'm out of here. And I kind of took on that mentality in the beginning, and then it was like, well, just try to make the best of the situation, learn from as many people as you can, and try to, understand the differences. And I think once I did that, moving felt way better, and it was actually a very good experience, and I'm glad that we did move, in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. Yep.
All right. But now transitioning out of high school, now after high school, you get into the Army. So talk about what that experience was like, you being in the armed forces.
Okay, yeah. So I did about 3 years in the Army. I got out 2018. End of 2018. Joined the beginning of 16. It was it was wild. I could say that. I signed up as a 92 Foxtrot, which is a petroleum specialist, and I included airborne. So I also jumped out of airplanes. I jumped out of airplanes maybe 3 or 4 times a month, and we got special type of pay for that. I'm all about money, man. So that whenever my recruiter signed me up, they were like, "Yo, if you want to, you can add on airborne. It's an extra like $150 a month." It wasn't much, but it was $150, extra $150. So I did that. I traveled. We traveled a lot. I liked AIT. Basic training was okay. I did basic training in Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Mind you, before all this was my first time ever traveling outside of the state. So first time on an airplane, first time doing everything. I went to South Carolina, basic training, AIT, which is technical training. Basically, like if you can think of like a trade school or something.
Okay.
Kind of like a trade school. I went to Virginia for that to get my certifications for petroleum, oil, and all this type of stuff. Yeah, and then so after Virginia, and I went to airborne school in Georgia. I was in over there for about like 3-4 weeks. And then I went to North Carolina, which was my duty station. Now, North Carolina, I was in Fayetteville, small town in North Carolina. It was nice, man. I met my wife there. Now, yeah, man. I know it. Now we're separated, but the pretty much to sum up everything, the Army definitely made me grow into an independent person. First time having an apartment. I got married at like 19, 20 years old. Moving in with my wife, and I tried to live that American dream, but I was too early. For someone like me, I was too early,
Yeah.
and I'm glad, I experienced those things so early, because if it wasn't, who would know where I'd be at, I kind of learned how to take bills, how to pay for bills, how to, rent, pretty much everything, taking care of my own car and, the whole 9 yards, because, your parents ain't there to baby you, not that they ever babied me in the first place, but I was too far away to call for any help.
Mm-hmm.
I was too caught, I couldn't do much. It was pretty much just me and the people that I worked with in my unit. But it was nice. I was in the Army. I was we didn't deploy a lot because we were on it's something called GRF, Global Response Force.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember, but back when Korea was threatening to nuke us,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I think 2018.
Yeah.
They're threatening to nuke us. 17, but we were getting ready. We had all our weapons, submachine guns, and all that type of stuff, and getting ready to jump into certain places, certain areas in Korea. So a lot of those times, I used to reflect. I'm like, yo, why am I doing this shit? At that time, President Trump was in the office. And then we got this stuff going on with ISIS and all this. Black people dying every day. All this type of stuff. And I'm thinking, I could die for this country who doesn't even love me, doesn't love the people that I'm around. The people like me and you. So I could sit here and I could jump out of these planes and shoot up all these people just to make these white folks more rich than what they already are, to make them more happy than what they already are.
So
and that's right. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to stay in. I didn't see myself just staying in for the long run. I'm glad I did my time.
Mm-hmm.
I got my benefits and everything. I got college and all this other stuff. But I was pretty much done with it. But it was okay. The Army was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was okay.
No, and it's good because it's like you're a person who basically didn't have life spoon fed to you. You had to kind of be put in the fire and to learn and, have to actually grow up. I mean, again, not everybody basically learns life, from just do this, Johnny, pat on the shoulder.
Right, Johnny, yeah. Right.
Hey, got to hit pavement, you got to pound the pavement, and you have to learn things and you have to nut up. And so for, someone like yourself, it was just kind of like, hey, I have to learn by doing, I have to learn by experiencing. And it might take a couple of failures from the standpoint, maybe I'd have to learn this lesson the hard way, I have to learn that lesson the hard way, or maybe I have to learn after, I fall behind, but at least I learn it. And so it's good to kind of have someone with a different perspective who didn't just get everything handed to them. It's like, no, I have to experience this and experience that. And then as far as you being in the Army, is just basically an experience where it's like all of it is good and well. Then, you serve the country, which I salute, but you've realized that your heart wasn't in it. At least that was the time for you to leave and try something else. So
right.
Transitioning out of the Army, you start traveling the world. So just talk about what it's been like, being able to, see the world and see different surroundings. I know you've been in Greece, you've been in Spain, you've traveled to a couple of near U.S. cities. What is it like traveling the world?
To be honest, man, it's probably the best thing I've ever done, and I could do. To be honest, I didn't really start until so I left the Army and I was at home maybe for 2-3 weeks, no, maybe a few months, like 2-3 months. And I'm looking for a job, looking for jobs. And long story short, I get a call. It's a call for a job out in Cuba. And I just they pay for my passport and all this, and next thing you know, I'm working in Cuba. But I was working on a military base though, so I didn't have access to the main parts of Cuba. If you could imagine just like a camp in say Texas, and you can't go to Louisiana, you can't go to, you're just on a camp stuff, pretty much, and wild. Like it was pretty. There's big old lizards and dragons, like big old Komodo dragon looking things. While that's cool, I
Yeah.
was still hungry. I'm like, dang, this isn't what I thought it would be. I thought I'd be able to actually go meet some, Cuban women, go dance and go eat Cuban food and stuff like that. I didn't get to experience that. So, so every 6 months with that job, we're able to take leave for up to 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of going home, I was like, Mama, I'm not going home. You know what? I'm gonna go take a trip.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was me and like two of my other friends and her mom, we got tickets to Barcelona.
Yeah.
And so really, I went to maybe about 4 countries in the span of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's where I got most of my traveling from. Other than that, outside of those 3 weeks, I haven't traveled in quite a while. But we ended up going to Barcelona, Spain. From Barcelona to Paris, from Paris to Mykonos, Greece. Yeah. From Mykonos, Greece to Athens. Then from Athens, we flew back to New York, and then I parted ways. I went to New York to Jamaica. Then from Jamaica, I went to Cuba. So to go more into detail, Barcelona, amazing, man. The people are friendly. I know one of the questions that we talked about prior, you asked me, was how it's like being black, and traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
And to be honest, man, you don't really get the same type of treatment as far as like racial tension as you get from the U.S. and these other European countries. They see you just as human beings. You know what I mean? Everybody else is pretty much, if to be anything, since we're American, they treat us a little bit better.
Yeah.
Especially in Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona. Amazing people, amazing culture. I had a good experience with that. Paris, not so much. Paris, they're a little bit more bougie, man. Like if you go up to them speaking English, they're like, no English, no English. Straight up, man. They are rude, man. They're rude.
Oh, man.
Paris has the best, in my opinion. They have some of the best architecture. They have some of the best, like wines and champagnes and stuff like that. But the people aren't the greatest.
What about in Greece? I've always been into Greek mythology, so I've always looked into kind of like Greek just culture and everything. So what was it like being in Mykonos and also in Athens?
Athens, amazing, dude. Mykonos is probably one of the prettiest places I've ever seen. They have the all white buildings and the sunsets and all that is nice. In Athens, we went to go see Acropolis and like the Zeus like monuments and stuff like that. And as I'm going there and seeing these places, I question some of the Greeks. And I asked them, I'm like, is this like a religion? Because I'm kind of ignorant on the subject. So I don't know if they see it as a religion, like the same way that some of us Christians believe in, Jesus Christ and God. If they believe Zeus and Medusa and all these people actually lived and actually serve a purpose. Right. Yeah. Yes. So I asked them that, and they were like, some of them were like, yeah. Some of them were like, no, it's just kind of a culture thing or whatever. But it was very interesting to see. It's like those things are what, thousands and thousands and thousands of years of in age, and they're still holding up. Some of these buildings and some of these structures are still holding up to this day. Yeah, so it was quite fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, and just in traveling in general, I recently got into traveling, especially as we got out of high school. Just being able to see the world and be outside of the bubble of living in Houston. I mean, I've always been a person where it's like, okay, traveling, cool. If I'm told that we're going this place, I'm not gonna be like, oh no, I'm not going nowhere. But I think really gaining an appreciation for seeing the world and for seeing different places. It started growing. My older sister's a person who travels a lot, so she'll always go off to where she goes to, and she's really big into Southern American culture, Europe, and those types of places. And she just tells me all the time about her travels, and so I'm like, maybe there is something good about it. I had
Do
thought
it.
about studying abroad, towards the end of college, and I'm like, nah, I want to just do it. I don't want anything school related. I just want to be able to take in everything,
fully enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I
Yeah.
remember last year, my older sister took me out on a cruise, and we went to Cozumel, Mexico, and just being able to see the scenery and everything, it was amazing, and it was like, man,
Amazing.
why didn't I do this earlier, man? And so now I'm okay. Once I get the bread, I'm traveling
It's
here,
dope.
I'm traveling here, because it's
Yeah.
seeing different people and seeing different cultures. Like, part of the reason why I asked you the question, what's it like, being a Black person and living overseas? It's like, do people really buy into race as much as they do here in America, where it's like, man, Black people, white people are like this?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, is it like that everywhere else? And that's part of what you see when you go overseas. It's like, no, your race is just your pigmentation. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be.
Right.
I look at you differently because you're Black,
Right.
or because this person is white, or because this person is Hispanic. I've never been a person who's been like that. It's just kind of like, we are people, we are who we are, we grow up differently, and we should just judge each other on each other's values and what's in our hearts, and we're relatable based off of our experiences. Myself and yourself, both similar in the way we think. People watchers. We like to interact with people. We like to be extroverted as far as just interaction, and that's what I've always kind of saw the good in traveling. So it's just interesting hearing other people's stories and them really having appreciation for seeing the world. But going on to the next thing, you said you're a man of money, and I know you're into cryptocurrency. So just talk about your experience delving into that. What has that been like?
It's so far so good, man. Right now the markets aren't doing too well because of Corona, and so people are kind of taking out of their money from the markets and just selling high right now. But pretty much, man, I was during quarantine, I've just been here at work, working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and I sat back and I was like, you know what? I'm making so, because I've been getting paid more since this whole Corona thing, overtime and other stuff, and I've been looking at things to put my money into, and believe it or not, a funny story. I just looked up how to be a boss, right? Just how to be a boss. How to be a boss, and Nipsey Hussle showed up. Man, Nipsey Hussle was talking about cryptocurrency, and not too many people in our family, not too many people talk about investing, especially in our Black community, and seeing Nipsey talking about this type of stuff, it kind of got me tuned in, knowing the background that he came from. And, after doing my research on it, I saw the potential that it has, especially in times like this with Corona, with the dollar being inflated. It's being it's the value is becoming less and less and less. The more that we print out these stimulus checks, the more that they try to manipulate these markets, it's only going to crash. And I don't know if not too many people see it in the news right now, but the Chinese yen is they came up with a digital asset, and I'm pretty sure you've heard of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is the #1 cryptocurrency right now, and the Chinese, and the reason why the U.S. doesn't like it is because it's backed by the Chinese, it's made by the Chinese, and so when it comes to crypto, after doing my research, I've realized that we, as Americans, we have American companies who are already in the background working with big banks like Bank of America, and long story short, they're getting mass adoption, which I'm not sure if you're too familiar, but with mass adoption comes mass regulations, and as long as a cryptocurrency or stock can be regulated, people are going to buy into it. So my favorite cryptocurrency right now is XRP, and just to keep everything short, it's basically a remittance payment, which is kind of like what Western Union does. They send out money worldwide.
Yeah.
So, and instead of like Bitcoin is meant to replace the dollar, or it's meant to replace the Chinese yen. XRP is made to work with these fiats. which
Okay.
is like the dollar, which is the peso. And what XRP does is say I want to send money to you, right? In order to pay you, what do I usually ask you? Like what would somebody usually ask you to try to send you a payment?
What's your like bank and routing number and stuff like that?
Yeah, bank, yeah, Cash App, right, Zelle,
Zelle.
PayPal,
Yeah.
right. And what they're saying is it's like in other terms, it's basically like back in the 90s when emails was around, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you didn't have to ask somebody, oh, uh, do you have AOL? Like, is that the only way I can email you?
Yeah.
It's like as long as you have
Yeah.
an email, you can send it. And that's the same thing that cryptocurrency wants to do with XRP.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you have, as long as you have a dollar sign, I could text you like, hey, I just sent you some money, and you're all the way in, in the Philippines somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and I sent you money in like a certain dollar amount, you would receive it in your peso amount.
Oh, okay, so it
So
makes it
it's
easier just to be able to send people money, and it
good
already
money,
translates. It already.
right, right, and that's just via XRP. That's just one cryptocurrency out of the many. There's so many other cryptocurrencies, and what's so great about it is so brand new.
Yeah.
And these cryptocurrencies, y'all, they're sitting at 18 cents for one a share, like 18 cents, 10 cents a share. And just to put this in easier terms for you guys to understand, it's like when Bitcoin right now at its highest, it was at $10,000 for one coin.
Mm-hmm.
Say 5 years ago, it was only at 10 cents. So
Mm-hmm.
if you bought a thousand shares or 1,000 coins at 10 cents, that would have cost you maybe $300. Just off the top of my head, $300. Let's just say $300, $200. You have 1,000.
Yeah.
If you waited five years to let it get to 10,000, you would have $1 million. Over a million. Just like that, just for investing into it like that. So
So,
that's what Nipsey Hussle was talking about. He was like, in our community,
about that.
nobody's talking about it. Only these white folks are talking about it. Stocks, stock market, and all that. Yeah. So it's all about, we have to sit and learn and get away from, we love sports, yeah, we love basketball, yeah, we love selling dope and rapping and single out guns and all this type of stuff. But we got to wake up and get out of that.
That's what black
Yeah,
people
we
are. So it's now time to shift the focus and to learn different things, and
learn different things, expand our horizons.
this is a
Yeah,
great
man.
why I started the platform for somebody who looks like some of the black people out there, or just in general, a young mind who learned about cryptocurrency. I mean, it's about
Right.
bringing young people together and saying, look, it doesn't take you being 30 or you going through things or you
Right.
having to learn after the fact. No, I'll bring people on here and they can tell you what they've seen, and they can tell you, like, look, start today. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is a want to learn, because that's the thing. A lot of times people they never had that exposure. They were never told what investing is. They were never told what stocks are, and we live in this mindset, at least here in America, largely, figure it out yourself, find out for yourself. Well, not everybody has access to the same resources and to the same connections. So what happens to those people? They just get left at the bottom and forgotten about. So it's great just to hear it and just for people to gain knowledge and just learn. Like for me, I didn't know what a lot of this stuff was. So this is an opportunity for me to learn and for me to help
Other people. Yeah. And that's what they say, man. Only 1% of the world knows about this stuff right now, and that's the scary part, But it's feel like young minds like us, like you said, we could spread their awareness, so we could have generational wealth. We can have a community rise above, you know what I mean, the poverty and all this other stuff, and make sure we're all set,
Absolutely.
And
So now, life in the present. First off, we've already touched on it before. What is life outside of the U.S. been like, and just what is life today been like for you? What are your life goals today?
So life outside the U.S., it definitely opened my mind. I was a little bit more closed-minded, back then, especially in the Middle Eastern, in these Middle Eastern countries, I thought if you're a Muslim, you were a terrorist. If you're a Muslim, no matter, that's how close-minded I was. If you're a Muslim, you're a terrorist. If if I go over to Bahrain, they're gonna blow me up because I'm American. Like, oh, a lot of that stuff, it's nonsense. And then made me realize we have black Muslims, you know what I mean, back in the States. There's not it's not just one race that are Muslim. So it opened my mind, man. I'm open to trying new foods and stuff now. Before I was only like burgers and McDonald's and all that type of stuff. Now I'm eating Indian food and African food. There's a lot of Africans here.
Told you about that African food, brother.
Yeah, the African food. Yeah, man.
Told you.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I swear, bro, I was not messing with none of it. I was like, no, I'm good, Obi. I'm good, man. I don't want
Listen, I need to say this. So for those of y'all who don't know, when we were back in high school, I used to tell Treyvon all the time about, listen, you need to try Nigerian food. You need to go to an authentic Nigerian restaurant, go try some jollof rice, go try some fufu, all of it. And he was so stubborn that he would never try it. And now he opened his eyes to the world and he sees it.
My eyes up, man.
Good, man.
Delicious. Delicious, especially that fufu, boy.
Part of my job is to spread my culture, and because here in America, like you're talking about, I hear all the time, oh, Nigerian people are rude or stuck up, blah, 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 blah. And I understand where they're coming from the standpoint, if that's all you've met and if that's all you see on TV, no matter how well I treat anybody, it's like, nope, that's all I see is just rude Nigerian people. So it's on me. A big part of my mission is just to look, I'm Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian guy. Let me teach you about the culture and let me educate you guys and let me show you where the mentality is. And like this rude person that you might see who happens to be Nigerian, that's not all of us, right? It's not indicative of us all. So it takes me just educating people on our customs, our values, having them try our food, and like, it's just being able to see different people and see different perspectives and understanding the diverse world that we live in, and it took you having to go overseas and like actually see it in person and be like, oh, okay, no, these people aren't really as different as they've been portrayed. Is actually, they're normal, just like I am.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, man. But last thing, wrapping up, just so where do you want to travel next? What does life have in store next for you? I know you're working now. What are you trying to get into next after quarantine?
Okay, so travel next, right? So short term travel next. I plan on either going back home for maybe a week, and then from there go out to Africa. Man, I've been wanting to go to Africa so bad, man. It's crazy that we've been talking about it, but I want to go back. I want to go to Africa. I want to go to the motherland. I want to go to Ethiopia. I want to go to South Africa. Nigeria. I want to go and kind of see where my roots actually come from. Listen to the music. Eat authentic food. The whole 9 yards. So that's pretty much my next flight itinerary. As far as Kuwait, which I'm at now, I don't see no reason for me to leave right now. Yeah, I'm currently in school. I'm getting my bachelor's in cybersecurity, and for information technology, but I have a good job right now. I don't have too many bills. I don't have too much to worry about. It's pretty relaxed. So I plan on doing this for maybe the next 4 to 5 years, and then after that, I want to get real estate. I want to own some real estate properties and then begin renting those out. So that way, after my first 5 years of grinding here, I can do another 5 years there, grinding, flipping houses, and all that type of stuff. And then from there on after, I'm making passive income. I can be laid up in my house on Instagram making passive income. That's my main goal.
Absolutely, bro. And pass knowledge down on to the next generations that come after us, man.
Exactly, man. Exactly. The key, man. The key.
Always got our minds on the big picture, man. And there's no sense in acquiring all this knowledge and learning just for us to just keep it in our head. No, build a legacy.
Right.
And the legacy is built through passing it down and mentoring people. That's why, like, even with football, since the football and fitness, that's the stuff that I'm into now, or that's the stuff I
Yeah.
have the most experience on. Any person that comes to me asking me fitness advice, because I get it all the time, I'm always like, hey, nah, come on, let's sit down and I'll teach you X, Y, Z, whatever it is. Because, I wish I had all this stuff when I was younger and I learned it too late. So now my thing is, okay, I don't want people to be like me.
Be like that, yeah.
No, let me show you, let me teach you the ropes, youngin. And it's rewarding. I mean, I understand people who don't want to pass down their knowledge or pass down any wisdom. And so, nah, great. Just last thing, with all the experiences that you've had and just traveling the world, seeing different places and all of that, I know for me, traveling is probably my biggest thing. I know I was supposed to go down to the motherland at the end of this year, but then Corona happened, so we're on that family trip. But for you, just what's your advice just to the next generation of travelers, investors, those getting into the service, whatever it is? If you could pass down your greatest nugget of wisdom, what would it be to them?
Never let anyone stop you, man. If you have something in mind, you execute it no matter what. And no matter what your parents may think, no matter what your friends may think, if you truly believe you can do it, then do it. If you think you could travel, then go do it. If you think you can go join the army and your parents are like, no, they're gonna kill you, it's dangerous, do it. Just do it. If you got to set your mind to it. If you don't, then you will always regret it. That's been my biggest fear, having my mind set on something and then not doing it because of what other people think. Yeah. And that's just same thing with investments. If you see a company that you see potential in, no matter what anybody else, if you truly believe that company can grow and succeed, invest in them. I feel like a max of 4 or 5 stocks, three stocks, large cap stocks, and 2 cryptocurrencies, and invest all that money into those 5. It doesn't make any sense to invest $10 and spread that out evenly over 10 stocks. It doesn't make any sense. So keep it at a limit, and sit in and let it grow. Don't do the day trading. Don't try to take out your money when you see it high. Just let it sit with a minimum of 5 years. Whenever you wake up and you see it's at a point where you want it at, you can sell it. Make all that money back.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much it, my friend.
Man, couldn't have said it better myself. That's a wrap for us for Insight Podcast. I want to thank my brother Trey for hopping on and just giving us all his wisdom, man. This is a great episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
Salam
alaikum. Salam alaikum.
Yes, Get us on YouTube, Spotify, all platforms streaming podcasts. Thank you.